What is happening? We're with Kneecho Games. We're talking competitive Pokemon within Legends ZA. Have you noticed every time you type Legends ZA, it wants to autocorrect to Arceus? That's what happens to me anywhere.
Yeah, I have. I think my brain's been doing it, honestly. I've just been doing it myself on accident.
Interesting. Yeah. I've even seen Google try to do it to me. I'm like, what do you do? Like, stop it. Stop it. I'm trying to look up ZA. Well, we're going to talk competitive. We're going to get into the basics. We're gonna also get into the weeds a little bit. I have a handful of questions I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna kind of let Nico run with this one a little bit. He's got an outline for a guide video that he has coming out tomorrow on Kneecho Games over on YouTube. So make sure to go check that out. And yeah, let's just dive right in. Tell me about your experience so far with ranked. I'm going to tell you about mine, and then we'll dig into the basics and whatnot. So
I was pleasantly surprised. Honestly, I wasn't sure what this game was going to have as far as competitive. I didn't know if we were going to actually have to train teams or if we just had, raw stats and we just go in and battle. This game's deep. And it's a lot of fun. It's very honestly, it reminds me more as far as team building goes. It reminds me more of Pokemon Go PvP than it does of the actual games. So that's been really cool, and it is so much fun. I had to force myself to shut the game off and go to bed last night. I just kept playing.
Just the ranked battles.
Oh yeah, I've just been since I built my team. I've just been going, and I mean, I was half tempted. It was like 3 a.m. and I was like, I could get to max rank tonight. I could just keep playing, but I made myself go to bed.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Like this game has its hooks in me bad. I have been taking it relatively slow, and I did make a mistake. I ran around so much just collecting the little items, the XP candies, the feathers, the mushrooms, that kind of stuff, and then also destroying the mega shards.
Yeah.
That I knew there was a max. I didn't think I had hit it until I had to go spend some, and I was like, how long have I been doing this at max?
I did the same thing, and I was so frustrated.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, but I mean, I wasn't far enough along the game to even spend them yet. So that was a factor as well. So I jumped into rank. Thankfully they put your team up to level 50, right? But you are stuck with the moves that you have. It's not like you're renting a team. You got to take what you've built in there, other than the level, right?
Yeah.
So I got destroyed, like 4th place multiple times, kept getting knocked out. Finally got like a 3rd, where I got a couple, I got a couple knockouts. Then had a really good match where I just got the last shot in on a number of people and then got 1st. And that, that moved me up the ladder pretty quick. But my brain, when I come to competitive, I'm trying to break stuff down as it's happening. I'm like, okay, you've got to evaluate the different Pokemon that are there, which moves you have that are going to be able to potentially one-shot those Pokemon or do some serious damage. And then also worry about making sure you're not sitting in a position to then get wrecked also, because the amount of times I got one-shotted was kind of crazy. Now, we were joking beforehand about the chart for all of the different, offense, defense, all that kind of stuff. Thankfully, the game has a little cheat code and tells you which moves do what. And obviously, if it's like water and fire, I'm like, okay, I got that one down. And since I'm running Totodile, I'm like, or it's not that anymore. It's whatever the evolved form. But forgive me, I don't know all the names. Not there yet, but one day maybe. I was obviously going after the fire types and dealing some pretty good damage to those. I think the game I won was probably because of that. But then, I only had the one mega evolution while I was trying this. And so when I utilized that a lot, that's when I got 1st. I then tried to just grab a random team. I was like, let me just put together like absolutely destroyed, like completely destroyed. So let's kind of break down just what was your, like, are you still using the same team you took in initially, or did that evolve over time? And then what were some of the decisions behind that?
So I rolled credits. I made sure I got to the end of the game. Typically in Pokemon, you get all the extra tools you need to really evaluate your Pokemon after you roll credits, which was true. Literally, as soon as you roll credits, you get the judge function in your boxes, so you can see what your Pokemon's IVs are. So I rolled credits. I made sure I got through that. Um, and I immediately dove straight into team building as soon as I rolled credits. I didn't do any of the post game stuff initially. I wanted to get right into ranked. And I had a couple friends who had beat the game before me, a bunch of Pokemon buddies, and they'd already been like testing stuff, and they kind of gave me a couple ideas on what things were looking like. So then I just started piecing Pokemon together that I had that I knew were powerful. Gyarados is on my team. I used a Gyarados through my playthrough, and I was like, okay, I'll use Gyarados. It's a good water type. Has some good typing coverage that I can use. And I had Gardevoir that I used through the mystery gift. We got the Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir Stone through the mystery gift. And I used that through my playthrough, and I was like, okay, we'll use Gardevoir. I know I can nuke some stuff with Gardevoir. Um, and then I had a shiny Pokemon, and it just so happened to that the typing lined up really nice. My goal was to have a team that would cover the weaknesses of each other really well. So that way, if they shot a super effective move at me, I could switch my Pokemon real quick and it would eat the hit. And luckily, the one shiny Pokemon I found fit the type matchups that I needed perfectly for the team, so I threw that on there. Um, and so I built that team, and you only need 3 Pokemon for anybody that hasn't dove in yet. You only need 3, which is really nice for training because you don't have to grind as much money. Um, and I don't know. It's just I've used this team the entire time. I haven't made any changes. There's like one move change that I thought I wanted to make. But I've made no changes and I've won every battle I've done. I'm up to rank E, and you go from Z all the way to A, just like in the ZA Royale. Yeah, I have made 0 changes, and this team has not lost a single battle yet.
Oh, that's crazy. That's yeah. Yeah, very, very impressive. Okay. So your strategy from what I'm hearing is covering the weakness,
Yes.
meaning because you've also got to be paying attention to who's attacking you,
Mhm.
and there's a lot
From
happening.
every angle.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and if you move your camera, there's been times that I turned my back and did not even see what was going on with my Pokemon. So,
Yeah.
would you say that as you're doing these battles, you're swapping your Pokemon pretty regularly?
Yeah, so every time you spawn, so when your Pokemon gets knocked out, you go back to the spawn where you started the battle at. Every time you spawn, you get 3 swaps per spawn. So you got to kind of plan out accordingly how you're going to go about, swapping your Pokemon to maximize that life. So my strategy, at least with the team I've built, and a lot of people are going a little bit different with their strategy, and we'll get into a little bit of the meta talk a little bit later. But like I have Gyarados and I build it super tanky. It's there to eat hits and cause problems and just be a really annoying Pokemon for the opponents. And then my other 2 Pokemon I built really offensively. So that way, after Gyarados eats some hits and they start shooting off moves at Gyarados that aren't super effective, I can swap into one of my other 2 Pokemon and then knock out their Pokemon because they used a move that doesn't affect it very much.
Got it. So this is interesting. Everybody is level 50, correct?
Yes.
No matter what, like you can't go above that. So they even the
Yep.
playing field that way. So that's good. The when you say you built a tanky, what does that mean?
So if we're going into EVs and IVs, so IVs,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
this is the
this is
wheat.
the
So do you want to save that for a little bit later? Like
yeah,
if
we can get into that a little bit later.
okay, because now I understand. I will ask this question. Uh, Shout out to my boy Antoine. He gave me all 3 like both the other 2 starters right off the bat. So I've been running with all 3 starters, which has been fun. But then he was asking about bottle caps. And are these tied to the EVs and IVs? The
Those are
bottle
tied to
caps?
IVs. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Okay, so that's good to know. So we'll get further into that a little bit down the road. So walk me through your strategy at the beginning of the match. You spawn in. Are you looking for your first victim? Are you hanging back and doing some range? Because I want to understand this, and I want to be able to be a resource for people with this.
Yeah.
And so I'm
So
watching some channels that like have had the game for a little bit long, like they got it, they got early
yeah.
review stuff. And a lot of the stuff I'm seeing is range, like
Yeah.
use Pokemon that have range attacks.
So my strategy, so if the first Pokemon in your battle team that's the Pokemon you're going to lead with when you go in. So I like to lead with my Gyarados. I know it's my tanky Pokemon. It's the Pokemon I know can eat the hits if I have a type disadvantage going into it. My goal when I start is I'm looking for a victim, but I'm doing like a full 360 of the map just to see what everybody has out to know who to target first based on my type matchups. And if I do have a disfavorable matchup, I don't want to waste a swap right away, so I'll kind of hang back and then I will just go in and like a big strategy in this game because just taking the KO gets you the points. It doesn't matter how much damage you do. I'll hang back and I'll just wait until I know their moves are on cooldown and I'll shoot an attack off, steal a couple kills, and then pull back.
Got it. Okay. And I think that's going to be a big part of the strategy here is what's funny is I will end up correlating a lot of this to like Smash Bros, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times you're going to win in Smash if you're not being the aggressor and you're just waiting to see what your opponent does and then punishing them for making mistakes, right? So I'm kind of hearing something similar here. The more methodical you are and the more intentional, the better you're going to do. So there's still those the chess game elements taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And especially jumping into ranked right now, you're going to have a lot of people that are just willy-nilly, not really. Like, how many times have you fired something and all three of the other Pokemon are just standing next to each other, wailing on each other?
Oh, yeah. Constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it will evolve in time. Like, and I don't mean to make puns, but that's just what
even
happens.
climbing to where I'm at now, just getting up to the higher ranks, I'm already seeing people with more, like they'll take a KO and you'll see them start retreating. And you'll see them like backing up to avoid taking another hit so that way they can go back in and steal another KO. Like there's already just getting to the higher ranks, you're seeing people have developed some strategies to try and maximize their knockouts.
Okay. So we kind of walked through the start of the match. Mid-match, what's going on? Is it kind of a rinse and repeat scenario or does it change a bit?
Kind of, sort of, where every time you're kind of evaluating, because when you die, you get to select which Pokemon you go back out with. You don't have to go back out with your first Pokemon. So, like, I'm kind of looking, it shows on the left-hand side of the screen what Pokemon are on the field currently. So I'm deciding what Pokemon I want to bring out based on the type advantages that I have based on what's on the field. Obviously, they could still have swaps available, but I'm going for the best case scenario where they forgot I died and I can run back in and maybe get a quick attack off and then maybe have to make a swap.
Gotcha. Okay. And then that's kind of the rinse and repeat at that point. Like it's just get in, get those kills, get back out. Now, have you run into any instances where you're like your team is at a big disadvantage to everybody on the field?
Yeah, I've had a couple where my team just wasn't type matched up against what I was up against. I forget what exactly. Oh, I'm running Gyarados, and Gyarados is like super weak to electric. It's flying and water type, so it's 4 times weak to electric type attacks. And there was both. I think all of them had Ampharos, so the electric type sheep Pokemon. So that was like a huge disadvantage for like my big tank who eats all my hits for me was going down really quick because my type disadvantage. So I was having to kind of play back and bait some attacks. And a strategy I found really useful is sometimes taking a hit that you know you can live and then running away is a good way to throw people off because they see you're low HP and everybody goes, oh, I want that KO. And you watch all 3 other players start charging at you. So then you can back up and switch Pokemon and then fire off a big attack and get a bunch of damage off, probably take a couple KOs in that instance too. You can bait people really easily in this game.
Do your attack, like if you target one Pokemon, is there AoE? Like, can it?
Yes.
Okay.
So depending on the attack, certain attacks will only hit one target. Other attacks, for example, like Earthquake, it has like a radius. There's like a circle that it
Got it.
happens in, and everything in that circle will take damage. Waterfall is like a charge attack, and it'll like dash, and everything that you hit on your dash takes damage for it. So there's you kind of got to learn what the different move animations do and like how they interact. But once you got that down and you just sync everything up, you can pull off some really cool takedowns.
Is there anywhere to find that information, like which attacks do what kind of damage?
I haven't seen anything yet. I think it's just going to be a lot of testing and learning.
Got it. Okay.
I've already seen some people posting videos of like battles online. So watching those is going to be a really good resource to see what moves do what.
Got you. Okay. I'm going to make a quick plug here just for the Discord, you guys. n64josh.com/Discord. Jump in. We have a Pokemon section. This is going to become a regular thing. I'm hoping that long term, whether they support this or not, that like we're doing even tournaments, even if it's just free for all tournaments where, let's just say we have 40 players sign up. Okay, now we're all going to be doing, maybe it's a double elimination, whatever, like, or it's a point thing, and whoever ends up having the most points. Like, I'm fleshing all of this out, but I do think there's some long-term fun with this competitive stuff. So
there's a ton that can be done here. Like
yeah.
I've got some buddies. There's a move in Pokemon called Metronome. You use the move and it picks a random move in the entire game.
Oh,
So
interesting.
and then it shoots off the attack. So what they've already been doing is they're training Pokemon, and the only move it knows is Metronome. So they're going into the online play in a private game, and they're just all firing off Metronome to see who wins.
So, okay, so this is like this I love. This all of a sudden now you're like it's almost like gambling in a way. You're just
Yep.
like you're just going in and pulling the slot machine to see which
Yep.
numbers show up. Like that's amazing. So the one of the things I've seen, and I'll bounce this off of you, again, no pun intended, but is protect.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing people talk about using protect in this mode, but according to one place, it was almost like the move works as a parry. Like you kind of have to hit it.
You got to time it.
Okay. Can you break it down a little bit? And are you using protect right now?
Yeah, so one of my Pokemon does have Protect. It's one of my more frail Pokemon. So typically if I toss it out and I know I'm in a disadvantaged position, I'll wait till they get close so I can see the move coming, and then I'll pop it. And hopefully, if I time it just right, and there's a pretty big window, it's not like you got to be right on the money. Um, Typically you'll eat the hit and you'll be able to, fire back something. It is super useful. That's actually I wanted to change the one move on my Gyarados, and I want to add Protect to that Pokemon to give it a little more longevity, especially with all the electric type attacks that have been flying my way has not been super kind to me. So I want Protect there to be able to keep Gyarados in the fight a little bit longer. But yeah, it's super super useful. Protect and Detect, they do the same thing.
I was watching the Pokemon Championships, right? I think the last one for Scarlet and Violet,
Yeah,
and the I believe the guy that won was using the I can't remember his name. It's the bike from Scarlet that
Koraidon.
yeah, Koraidon. There you go. So it wasn't in the meta apparently, right? But he believed that he could make it
Yeah.
do what he wanted. So, with that being said, do you think we get to a point where it's the same three teams every time as the meta is figured out, or do you think we're going to get to the point where maybe there's six Pokemon that people go with, nine? Do you, how do you kind of foresee it going? I mean, obviously it's a guess at this point, but like with your knowledge of competitive Pokemon, how vast were the teams? Was the meta kind of typically the same teams? That kind of thing.
So typically you will see a lot of the same teams, mainly because good players will use them and then everybody replicates it. They see it and they're like, "This works. Let me play it." the fun thing with Pokemon is because those teams are so common, bringing something less common throws people off because they're like, oh, I didn't prep for this matchup. So you can get away with a lot of goofy stuff. And when I go to like local tournaments to play Pokemon, I like building goofy stuff. I like taking stuff that people don't see too often, and you can have a lot of success doing that. And I already see that being a thing in ZA, where like there's a lot of Pokemon that like they're better, like just stat wise, they have better stats than other Pokemon. But there's certain Pokemon that can fill the same role on a team. Like for example, Excadrill on my team is relatively frail, but it's a ground steel type. Steelix does the same thing and has different stats. So it works on the team and fills that same role, but does a little bit different because of its stat distribution. And I've already seen people that have hit top rank and they're using similar teams to what I'm using, but Steelix is in that Excadrill slot. So there's already like that shift where people are using stuff that is a little less common just because of stats, but is still getting the same results.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say 3 Pokemon, they become the meta. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, because of the nature of this game, there would be a 3-team, an opposing 3-team meta
that would counter that team.
That would counter that team.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
So that kind of makes the meta a bit difficult. Or
yeah,
maybe there ends up being multiple meta teams, but then it's always a crapshoot on which one you're taking in.
Yeah. We'll see that a lot in Scarlet and Violet, where as the season goes on, the meta is constantly shifting, and as one team gets popular, someone crafts a team that counters that team, and then that team becomes popular, and then they build a new team that counters that team, but then the original team that was good has good play into the team that's countering the team that beat it. So it just kind of goes in a cycle. And as people continue playing and they get more familiar with the Pokemon, they come up with even more stuff that will counter the stuff that's been good. So then there's just more teams popping up, and the meta just constantly is shifting, where you're going to see the same Pokemon, but you're going to see them used in different ways that changes how the team actually functions. And I think ZA will follow a very similar trend to that as stuff gets more popular. Like I'm already seeing, Gardevoir is very, very good. It's a very strong special attacker right now in ZA. What I've noticed is even though it doesn't have an electric typing, it gets Thunderbolt as a move. And a lot of Gardevoir are actually running Thunderbolt because Gyarados is so popular. So they're just running up, nuking a Gyarados, and then getting out of the fight because Gyarados is so popular. So people are already adapting to what's super common on the ladder.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. I love that. Super, super cool. So I think we're at the point where we can start talking like building these Pokemon. Like you talked about your Gyarados being a tank. Unless you want to stop me if there's something that I'm skipping over, but like if otherwise, I think getting into that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, so just with the basics, we can start there. Like you mentioned the type chart. I've got that memorized, and I know that's hard for a lot of people because there's 18 different types, and there's different ways types go together that can lead to things not working in your favor. So, for example, electric types are weak to ground damage. Like they're super effective against electric as ground. However, there's a Pokemon, Emolga, that's ground flying. Flying types don't take any damage from ground type moves. So now Emolga doesn't take damage, which would normally be super effective against its electric typing, takes 0 damage from. So it's really tricky with the Pokemon that are dual typings to get all of those type matchups down. And that honestly, the only way that comes is with time, is just playing a bunch and learning over time. And the nice thing is there's only like 200 Pokemon in this game. So you don't have to memorize every, all 1,000 Pokemon that exist.
I am working on a guide. I'm working on a tool that will make it easy to memorize because I'm in that same boat where I'm like, okay, I have this chart, but I can't sit and stare at this chart while I'm while I'm in the middle of fighting. So
yeah, the type chart's a big thing. The other thing is knowing what your stats do. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. For people that don't know, there are 2 different attack types. There's physical and special. And there's like a little icon that indicates it. The physical attack looks like a little explosion, and then the special attack is like a little swirl. And based on, if your attack stats higher on a Pokemon, that's going to make your physical attacks do more. If your special attacks higher, that's going to make your special attacks do more. And then your defense protects you from physical attacks, and your special defense protects you from those special attacks. So knowing that, and the big thing that's different in this game stat wise from previous games is speed. Speed in the other games would determine which Pokemon moves first.
Right.
But speed in this game is tied directly to your cooldowns. So the higher your speed stat, the faster your moves come back up.
So essentially the same thing. You're getting your moves out quicker.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of the only huge change, at least as far as the stats go in this particular game. And most of the training aspect in this game actually is pretty much 1-to-1 with normal Pokemon.
Got it. Okay. So now do we go into the weeds of the EVs and the IVs?
Yeah, we can get into EVs and IVs now.
Okay.
All right.
You know what
so
throws me
IVs,
off? Look behind you. Is you have an EV on the wall, and so every time I hear, I'm like, couldn't they have come up with a better name for this? Like, that in of itself throws me off. So anyway, EVs, IVs, and all the above.
Okay, so we'll start with IVs. IVs are individual values, or they're basically the stats that a Pokemon is caught with or bred with. Breeding doesn't exist in this game. So like you said, the last time we talked, where you're like, I don't want to ride my bike in a circle to get the perfect Pokemon. We don't have to do that. We don't have to worry about that in this game. You catch a Pokemon, it has IVs. Typically, it seems like the alpha Pokemon have 3 IVs that are max. There are 6 stats total, and they have 3 stats with perfect IVs. And these can be raised with the bottle caps that you brought up earlier. So you can go to the Fist of Justice dojo, and there's a lady there that's like, do you want to hyper train? And you give her bottle caps, and you can raise the IVs to perfect on your Pokemon. You can get the bottle caps. Go for it.
So did you go and get a alpha Magikarp to then
I had an alpha Magikarp, yeah.
That you turned into your Gyarados.
Yep.
That you're now using. Okay. So then did you need to use the bottle caps on that, or is it already perfect?
Let me see here. What do I got? Let me pull it up. I'm pretty sure it looked good if I'm remembering correctly. I have 3. My attack is perfect, my defense and my special defense is all perfect.
Are those the 3 that you would want?
So on this guy, I still want my HP to be up. I want my HP to be perfect, and you want that on pretty much every Pokemon. You want your HP as high as possible. And I want my speed stat better. My speed stat's very good. It's not best, so I want it to be perfect. As far as special attack, I don't use special attacks with my Gyarados. It's a physical attacker. I don't need to worry about that one, so I wouldn't need to bottle cap it. So that's kind of the train I follow with it is if I'm going for a special attacker, I don't need to worry about my attack stat being perfect. So that kind of thing.
Okay. I think I'm understanding. So the IVs are strictly tied to attacks?
The IVs are for each individual stat. They go from a range of no good, which is the worst possible, to best. And the higher they are, if they're best, that means that's the higher level you can achieve in that stat pool.
And this in the game is that circle that has like
yes.
I'm sure there's a name for it, but I just don't know what
I just call it a stat graph. I don't know.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm sure there's some kind of title for it, but that's what we're talking about here. So just so that I make sure I'm understanding, and maybe somebody else is listening that's kind of in my shoes. You went for yours had attack,
defense, and special defense was all perfect.
Okay, and you were happy with that.
I was happy enough. I would like it to have a perfect HP and speed as well, but I don't have bottle caps at the moment. I'm not far enough to have acquired any, to be able to max that out. I plan to once I get a hold of a couple, but yeah, as of right now, I'm good with it. I'm running with it.
So I may ask dumb questions. Can you max out all of these stats?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's not going to be easy for everybody to get to that point. But once you're at that point, but that also seems like it's going to take some time. So it's like, do you worry about the meta and using those bottle caps on a certain Pokemon that may not be in the meta, or do you just say, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and hope for the best?
So honestly, with what I've played so far of ranked, I don't have a single Pokemon that has perfect IVs. My Gyarados is actually the best, where it has 3 perfect. The other 2 don't have any that are perfect, and I've won every game. So I don't. If you're playing appropriately, you don't have to worry as much. Obviously, you get more out of it if they are perfect, and you min max a little bit more. But if you're playing the game well, you're not going to notice that difference too much.
And is this the kind of thing where, like, have you played Splatoon?
Yeah.
Have you gotten perfect gear in Splatoon?
No, I haven't put that
Okay.
kind of time in.
So that's all I did for Splatoon 2. My main objective with that game was to grind gear, scrub it, and build perfect gear.
Mhm.
Even with perfect gear, you don't get like a huge
Yes.
advantage.
Very similar concept. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what I'm getting. It's not like it's the end of the world if,
Yeah.
you know, it's ideal. And if
Yes.
you were going against another Gyarados that had lesser stats, you'd probably win.
Yeah.
But again, the likelihood of that matchup, you know,
Yeah.
not necessarily there. But okay, so it's a maybe a fun thing to grind, and obviously the better you have, you know, go for the alpha is the main thing that I'm kind of hearing though.
Mhm.
Now, when you do the Magikarp, did those stats carry to the Gyarados? Is it the same?
Yeah. Yep.
So you'll know when you catch what you're gonna
Mhm.
have. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever IVs you catch it as, if you evolve it, it's the same.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So then what's the next step in this?
So next would be EVs. Those are effort values, and those can be trained onto your Pokemon. So those, like, unlike IVs that they have when you catch them, EVs are put onto a Pokemon. So you can do it by battling wild Pokemon. You can do it by buying vitamins at the Pokemon Center. Eventually, you'll get far enough in the game that they'll just be there as one of the items you can buy, or you'll find feathers lying around as shiny objects on the ground. My preferred method is using the vitamins. Because vitamins will give you plus 10 EVs every time you use one. So now we're gonna get real complicated.
Cool. Let's do
um,
it.
there's so every Pokemon can have 510 EVs on it. That's the total. But for each individual stat, so let's say I want like a maxed out HP, I can only have 252 EVs on there. So technically you can only max out 2 stats, because that puts you at 504. So then you have 4 extra EVs, and every 4 EVs equals 1 stat point boost. So if I have 4 HP EVs, I go up 1 point in HP.
I mean, 1 point seems so minimal, but is it kind of a big deal?
Um In this game, it feels less significant than in normal Pokemon. In normal Pokemon, you're running a lot of calculations based on move damage and everything. You're like, if I have this 1 extra point, what is my percent chance of surviving X hit? This game, we don't have that kind of information, and I doubt we ever will, because I don't think it's as crucial in this game because it's not turn based. So this game, it doesn't feel as important. So honestly, like when I play Scarlet and Violet, I get kind of in the nitty gritty with my EVs. In this game, I'm just throwing 250. I'm maxing out 2 stats and I'm calling it a day.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, it sounds a bit more like baby's first Pokemon, which I think is great,
Yes.
especially for somebody like me who wants to have a better understanding, wants to dabble in this stuff, especially with champions coming in just 4 months, and then having, you know, being able to take some of that knowledge over
Yeah.
to that game, and then, play the right way or the original way, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So what's next for you with this game?
Uh, what's next for me is currently I'm just doing the ZA Royale over and over and over. I'm doing that on repeat. I'm just trying to farm money. I'm trying to get as much money as I can. Because like I said, you can battle wild Pokemon to raise your EVs. However, I think it kind of sucks in this game. It's less useful in this game than it was in older games because all the Pokemon in that wild zone can rush you at one time, and then you could knock out all of them by accident. So then you could get the wrong EVs that you're trying to train.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
so I don't like doing it that way in this game. I've done it that way in others. So this game, I just like using the vitamins and the feathers. So I'm just grinding money to try and buy as much vitamins when I need to build new Pokemon. But now I'm just to the point where I want to build as many Pokemon as possible and be able to make just a bunch of different variations of teams and have like Pokemon ready to roll to swap stuff out.
Any like we kind of talked a little bit at the beginning, like when it comes to the teams, are there, like you said, you have a tank, more of a tank.
Yep.
Like, do you have like kind of a baseline that you're going for? Like, what would your next team be? Do you know, like off the top of your head?
I know Pokemon that I'd like to build and have ready. Um, as far as what pieces I want to put together to make them work, I'm not too sure of yet. Um, Once I have enough money, I'll probably start going like, okay, now I want to use this Pokemon and bring this guy with him and do that. Um, but I kind of like to have the team in my head, like the vision in my head, like, and then build the team. So I like to have the resources and everything to do it all at once, rather than kind of chip away at it. Um, as far as the meta goes, what seems really common, that people like doing is two tanks. They want two tanks. Typically something like Gyarados that is like a big bruiser that can do a bunch of damage, while also eating a bunch of hits, and then also like a bulkier Pokemon that can use something like Light Screen or Reflect. Light Screen protects you from special attacks. It lowers the amount of damage you take from special attacks, and Reflect will absorb physical attacks more. Um, and the thing about those moves in this game is when you use them and then swap into a different Pokemon, that Pokemon keeps those up. So they get those boosts. So you use that bulky Pokemon to get those up, and then you swap into that more frail, more powerful Pokemon, and then they can eat more hits and do more damage and secure more KOs. So there's like that element of like the two tank strategy where you have the bruiser, you have the more support Pokemon that's like keeping your frail Pokemon alive. Or alternatively, you can go the route I went, which is one tank and two offensive Pokemon, where you lead every time with your tank, go out, do a bunch of damage, chip away at stuff, and then throw out your big damage dealer, take a couple KOs, die, do it all over again.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and that kind of gets into the overall strategy too of like, like really nailed it right there, honestly, of like how you're going through each of these rounds. So super, super cool. Well, is there anything else that you think we need from this, like this crash course with competitive Legends ZA?
Um, there's so I don't know if anybody's like paid super close attention. There's like the plus moves in this game, where
Okay,
as you
but
level
yeah,
up, certain moves will get the plus.
yeah.
Um, real common right now, everybody's running megas. That's all anybody's running on ladder is you just see 3 Pokemon that can mega evolve. The plus moves work like mega moves. So if your Pokemon can't mega evolve, but you press the start button before you fire the attack, it does mega evolution level damage. So you can use Pokemon that can't Mega Evolve and get the same level of damage, and it just charges a little bit of the Mega energy. So if you aren't using a Mega Pokemon and you're using Pokemon with the plus moves, you can get the same effect without having to Mega Evolve.
Which is pretty cool that they added something like that in there because
Yeah.
not all of them can Mega Evolve
Yeah.
yet, or maybe not ever. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And the other thing with alphas, we talked about alphas a little bit. There's like a risk and reward with alpha Pokemon that I've noticed is you get the bonus of the IVs being you have a couple more that are maxed out. They also certain megas will get access to a certain move that it doesn't learn naturally. So you'll have the advantage of that particular move. Like I think I was looking at a certain Pokemon, I think it was Drampa, and I think it gets access to Fire Blast if you catch the alpha. It doesn't learn that move normally, so you get that kind of benefit. The other negative side of that is that certain moves in this game are determined by hitboxes, and alpha Pokemon are all massive. So you
Yeah.
have a bigger Pokemon, which means you're more likely to take a hit that you wouldn't take if the Pokemon was smaller.
Interesting. That's going to play into some stuff for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Well, that pretty much wraps everything, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I will say, if you want to get into it, especially there's only like 2 weeks in the season to get that Mega Greninja Stone. Anybody listening that wants to get into it, just throw some Pokemon together. You'll get points to rank up regardless of if you win or not, and it won't take you very long. I think it's just rank J to get the Mega Stone. So even if you're not ready to dive headfirst into building Pokemon, just hop in, throw a couple Pokemon together, hop in, get that stone before the season resets. I think it's like November 6th or something.
Yeah, I think so, like November 5th. I think I could be mixing that up with Fortnite though too, because it's changing around the exact same time. So yeah, it's right around there for sure. The real quick, I don't know if you saw my video, but I caught 5 shinies in 2 minutes.
I did see that, yeah.
So did you try this technique?
I have not yet. Was that the Pokemon pack that was like moving your cursor, well, your stick back and forth?
Yes, I just used the Pokemon pack to keep my stick down.
Yeah.
And if you just hold down, you go between the staircase and the door back and forth.
Yeah.
And the game will save 10 shinies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had 5 in the,
That's
so I ended up with
crazy.
like 3 Lit Leos, including the alpha. And then whatever that, like, it's like a ram. It's got like ram horns. And then those little floating flowers, one of those as well. So
it seems like shiny hunting's pretty easy in this game.
it seems like it, because I've never had any kind of luck with shinies whatsoever. So but I still haven't just seen one out in the wild. I thought I heard one, but I don't. I when I went looking, I couldn't find anywhere. It could have been on a roof potentially, I guess.
Yeah.
But the last thing I will say, as far as just like not necessarily competitive, but if you're trying to get certain Pokemon, use that save functionality, right? Like Eevee, not the stat thing we're talking about, but the actual Pokemon. She or he is a pain to catch that first time. So you can save right as you knock them out, and then you'll get multiple chances to throw that ball and try to catch them. Like I've fumbled on an Eevee, whatever Lucario's like first evolution is.
Real.
And then I failed on that one multiple times. And then there was whatever, I think it's Garchomp. You guys are going to be proud of me. I think I got that right. Whatever his first evolution is. He's running around in one of the wild areas.
And he like runs away when he sees you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he kept attacking me, and every time I knocked him out, he would bounce out of the ball. So I was like, come on. I got to use my own advice and do that save technique. So let everybody know where they can catch up with you, and also about that video you got coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, so if you want to follow any of my Nintendo Switch 2 stuff, all that's over on Kneecho Games. That's KNEECKOH Games. And I'm at Kneecho Gaming on Twitter and TikTok. As far as the Pokemon content, that will be on my old channel, and that is just KNEECKOH. It's just Kneecho. That guide's going up tomorrow. It'll be on my Pokemon channel.
Nice. Very, very cool. All right, guys. Well, again, like I said, jump into the Discord, n64josh.com/Discord, and get the conversation going with this game. So much fun stuff to do, whether you're shiny hunting or just doing the main story or trying to complete your decks, or you want to get into competitive with us. Like, the community's having a great time over there. So we'd love to connect with you that way. And we'll see you in the next one. And remember, play it loud.